Hello everyone, this is Clossi, and I'm back with another Joseki video. Today we're going to be looking at this inside Hane move that I think a lot of players typically don't know about. So first, let's see how this Hane move happens. So the Joseki happens whenever your opponent plays a high approach to the 3-4 point and you play this normal move. The normal Joseki is a Hane on the outside, turn back, connect, make a base, make a base. I think a lot of players will know this Joseki. The tricky part comes if your opponent Hane's on the inside. Now I'm surprised that more people don't consider this move, simply because Black is playing a Knight's move here, and what I always teach my students, check the Knight's move first. If you don't have a plan for this inside Hane, then this move can be quite dangerous to play. So let's take a look at how we should handle it. The first thing to look at is cutting your opponent. Because if you cut right here, then A and B can start living by attacking C and D. If our opponent just Atari's on the outside, then it's very easy to kill the stone on the inside. If they get greedy and try to go right here, then we can turn and escape, and now our opponent is going to have a lot of trouble living in the corner. The shape right here on the inside is actually not alive. If I play right here, then there's a Vita point right here and reduce the ice space, which leads to another Vita point. If I try to play the Vita point, then you can see this actually is just dead in the corner. And if I expand my ice space right here, it's pretty much the same thing. It's a bit 3 in the corner, I play the Vita point, and white is dead. So usually this is not the move that we see. So with this Atari, all we have to do is stay strong, and our opponent will defeat themselves. The tricky part comes into play when our opponent plays this Atari. So here, we do want to save our stone, because it is a cutting stone. Now, our opponent will usually try to make life in the corner. This is where the confusion happens, because there is no way to capture the stone aside from a ladder. Usually we don't want to rely on a ladder, because then our opponent gets a ladder breaker, and usually they have this corner down here anyway. So in this case, we want to think about how should we play here? Well, the trick is to actually use aggressive defense. Now this is a concept I teach my students at single digit Q, so for double digit Q, this is going to be a new thing that probably you're not going to be able to apply for quite a while. But what I want you to think about is you want to make a base with both sides. And if you can make a base in Sente, it's even better. So let's say I play right here. Now my opponent probably wants to defend their cutting point, and then I go make my base. Now, if my opponent tries to attack me, the ice shape in the corner is actually not that great. So I can go down, and if I get surrounded, then the corner is going to be in a lot of trouble. So usually they'll block the ice space, and then I'll get my base. And here, this is still not alive. So typically what they'll try to do is play this move. Then I play my Tiger's Mouth, and if they save the cutting stone, well, now I can go make my base. There is a little bit of a trick right here, so make sure you watch out for this Vita point. If you try to block your base this way, there's a throw-in right here for a snapback to Suji. So just simply defend right here, and you're fine, because it's a Tiger's Mouth, and you're connected. If they take your base like this, then you actually have a net. This net's a little tricky to read, but as long as you study it, you should be able to handle it. If white tries to run away like this, you can see white runs out of liberties. If we try to be fancy like this, it's the same thing. And if our opponent tries to play an Atari first, and then connect, we simply put right here, and it's the same thing. So in this case, we have a net that captures the cutting stone and connects our right side group to our top group that has a base. Another option they might consider is going here. But here, just stick to your same framework and let them live in the corner and just make your base. If you get greedy, they can be very dangerous. Another option that they might think about is potentially going down right here. But you can counter this easily enough with the block. Surround them in the corner, make your base. Even if they save the cutting stone, you make your base. And you can see that the inside is that same shape that we already reviewed, where white is dead. And lastly, if they Nobi right here, then all you have to do is descend down, or just Atari. If you descend down, it could end up like this, and they have that same shape in the corner, or they can turn like this, which leads to another result that we saw earlier in the video. The Atari is a little bit more forced, so you can see it also leads to that same result, so this might be the safer option for a lot of you. Just keep in mind that there is a trick right here in order to get 2 forcing moves instead of 1. So you can see now, white doesn't have an open skirt compared to right here where white does. The trick here is to make sure that both sides are making a base. As long as you can handle making a base for both sides with black, then that's the key for this sequence. In a couple of the sequences, we talked about white dying in the corner. I don't think that's the most important thing for you to remember. If you kill your opponent in the corner, that's great. But on the worst case, if they live in the corner, I want to make sure that you have a base on both sides on the outside. That's the key here and how to salvage the situation if your opponent does something that you didn't expect, like Hane on the inside. And with that, that is how we handle the sequence. Hope you guys enjoyed.